Hey everybody, it's Tammy. Today we are looking at the Turaga and some minor modifications I've made to the arms and the legs and the torso. Okay, they're complete mock revamps. I've always loved the way the Turaga looked in the movies, and I always thought about remaking them, but it wasn't until I saw Crex's amazing movie-style Vekama mock, link in the description, that I was seriously inspired to start building, or as I like to call it, slamming bricks. Sorry. I wanted something that could be evocative of the movies, but also be posed more dynamically if desired, kind of bridging the gap between the movie's hunched over wide old sage look and the more upright posture of the original sets. Canonically, they are supposed to be slightly stronger than Motora, and so I like the idea of them doing a Yoda and hobbling around most of the time until they suddenly need to spring into action. On top of that, I wanted a design that was as simple as possible and wouldn't look too out of place amongst the 2001-3 sets, almost as if the characters had been reissued or remade in the later years. I initially wondered if I could reuse and recolour the build from the Duracell Battery's good guy, aka Turaga Lhikan. You can see I've actually modified him slightly, just re-angling the hip piece, and I've switched the feet that were originally just a couple of dark red sockets for Borok feet. I've replaced the socket piece that was being used as a head for a Gatorian head angled upwards. I did try the Avmatoran head, but it just gave me more of a hunch than I'd like. I'm actually considering spray painting the bottom half of that piece to make the eyes look more defined, since it's currently just a big glowing mass behind the mask and it looks a bit naff. I've also added the second hand on because why wouldn't you? No helmet yet, I'm afraid. Where did he get that from anyway? It's kind of ironic that of all the Turaga sets, it would be this 2006 promo that wasn't even officially, technically, originally released as Turaga Lhikan, that I felt best embodied the actual overall Turaga look. It's basically just the same as Kazi's build, the 2006 Matoran, just minus the Borok eyes on the front and the legs. I wanted to use this basis for the other Turaga, but that was just never going to be possible due to the fact that this Toa Hordika forearm piece not actually come in most of the colours I wanted, so an original design was required. Obviously the designs had to be able to be recreated across all of the different colours that the Turaga come in. I really wanted to make these models show off the secondary colour that was being used in 2001, so orange for Vekama, lime for Matau, light blue for Nakama and so on. Whilst I love the movie versions, since the Borok feet only come in the Toa Mata colours, to make the colour schemes balance it made sense for the torsos to be lighter. It took me a while to get the proportions right. For a while I tried using a double socket for the shoulders and ended up realising that they needed to be slightly wider, so I went for a redesign that would allow me to put two sockets end to end, which was fine because it was easier to get those pieces in the right colours anyway. Starting with the main build that I used for Vekama, Nakama, Matau, Whenua and Dume. Because I was always unsatisfied with Dume's 2004 release being just a Metru Matoran with Borok limbs, I decided to chuck him in too, along with a custom staff inspired by the movie. I'm going to use Dume and Vekama to illustrate the breakdown. Now, you might have noticed a couple in the group got slightly different builds. Whenua is using a build that actually started out as one of my early experiments, and it just sort of fits with Whenua being more dinky in his original set form. I also used more black on him, partially because of the extra Borok foot in the torso demanded it, and also because there's already a lot of his dark grey or dark bluish grey in the limbs. Whilst making the breakdowns, I actually tried making Vekama and Dume in this style. In my opinion, it's just a bit too short for them, but if you like it, use it. Nuju is also using another variation I developed to try and give a bit more depth to the build by bringing the socket joint forwards that connects the neck. Something about it though just didn't seem right with the other colour schemes, plus the build is a little bit more precarious. If I'm able to get the longer connectors in the other colours, it might look a bit better and I might change my mind. Of the 6 Matanui Turaga, my favourite based on colour is usually Vekama or Matau, but with this build I was surprised to find it was Whenua that I kept thinking looked best. It might be that combination of dark bluish grey and tan, or it could just be the mask design. I'd love to make them all robes at some point as well, inspired by the design used in Krax's video I mentioned earlier. Now, one last thing for shits and giggles, I thought it would be fun to make a Turaga Jovan design, as he is the only named Turaga not to have an appearance. I did actually go back to the Lhikan build for this one and up-armored it a bit to reflect his Toa appearance. Unfortunately there's no noble Konoe Kaiden design, at least at the time of recording, so 2006's edgiest rubber mask will have to do. I've kept his chain here. I imagine he probably had some extreme climbing to do on Whenua for, I don't know, berries. His original weapon was Hale Anika's harpoon with a couple of Zama ammo holders, so I thought it was kind of cool that the Zama launcher kept the look pretty well for a staff. But that just about does it for now. Please feel free to use and even improve on these designs. See you soon for another video. His original weapon was Hale Anika's harpoon with a couple Zama ammo. That is difficult to say. Slamming bricks.